on here in Central Florida and across the state. So we want to go ahead and jump right in, and I want to let you know some of what we have coming up for you a little bit later in the show. I can give you, let's see here, a live look at downtown Orlando as well. We've seen a number of showers in the area. We're going to check in with Brooks Garner here in just a second, and also track the tropics as well. We are also standing by waiting to hear from Governor Ron DeSantis, who's holding a news conference in Panama City. He's joined by a number of immigration officials that we expect them to talk about Alligator Alcatraz and the judge's decision that effectively looks to wind down operations at that facility. We just heard a few minutes ago from Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd announcing dozens of arrests from a large drug bust in Polk County, and Florida lawmaker running unopposed to lead the national GOP. We will take you to the Republican National Committee, where State Senator Joe Gruters will be the party's next national chair. But I do want to go ahead and bring in Fox 35 Storm Team meteorologist Brooks Garner, who joins us now live. And Brooks, it's been a pretty active morning out there.
It sure has, Garrett. We've got a lot of tropical moisture that's surging in from the Gulf. We've been talking about this all morning over on Good Day Orlando on Fox 35 from 4 a.m. until 11 a.m. And one of the reasons is that Hurricane Erin, now in the Northeast, has departed, bringing with it its moisture and pulling moisture from the deep tropics into its circulation via Florida. So we're in the path of its ingest of that tropical air, and it all manifests as this: a lot of rain coming in from the Gulf. Now, this is also producing some pretty strong lightning strikes. We've heard some big booms of thunder from within the vicinity of these storms. And of note, once the rain ends, you've got to wait at least a half an hour for the storm to pass before you go back outside if you're working on a house, doing construction today, sports planning. There are a lot of lightning bolts that are happening outside of the storm. They're called bolts from the blue. A case in point are a couple of lightning strikes happening near Lake Monroe. The storm itself is over Lake Jessup, almost 10 miles away. Well, lightning has struck a little under 10 miles from that cell back on the 1792 corridor. So very dangerous setup out there with the lightning today. And these are going to be marching toward the coast, where we're going to see upwards of 1 to as many as 6 inches of rain before this day is out, especially in parts of Volusia County, where the storms will likely stall this afternoon. So here's a look at future clouds and radar. We're going to see a lot of this activity pushing east. It may interact with the sea breeze. About 3, 4 o'clock, we'll see the heaviest stuff, maybe through 5. But by commute time, a lot of this stuff is going to start winding down, which is good news for our Friday night activities, not to mention Friday night football, which is kicking off in a lot of communities this evening. And as the season begins, we're at the peak of the rainy season. 50% chance of rain at this hour, a 60% chance at noon, then a 70% chance between 2 and 3 before rain chances start to dissipate. So 85 in Claremont right now, 88 in Orlando. It's steamy outside. But what about for this evening for football? Well, once the rain ends, we're expecting dry weather tonight. Temperatures in the upper 70s, the sunset at 7:57. Overall, it looks to be pretty pleasant conditions considering it's the month of August for Friday night football. There have been many Friday nights rained out this time of the year. This will not be one of them. Looking now at Erin. Erin is on its way out. It's losing its tropical characteristics, very quickly becoming a non-tropical area of low pressure. Still has winds of 90 miles an hour from the National Hurricane Center. The latest fix on that. It's forecast the remnants of it to work into the North Atlantic and become a big problem for shipping lanes. While it will no longer be a tropical entity, it will still have hurricane force winds, which will cause huge swell, interrupting cargo between Europe and North America. Meanwhile, we've got a 90% chance now of a disturbance, which is east of the Lesser Antilles, curving up toward Bermuda this weekend. That could become Tropical Storm Ferdinand. And then farther south, we've got an area in orange that could become the next tropical system. Gabrielle is that name, heading west toward the Lesser Antilles. It looks like this one may not be much of a force, though. Perhaps if it does get a name, it would be a brief tropical storm and would bring nothing more than rain. But yeah, next two names on the list, Ferdinand and Gabrielle, and that represents using about a third of the available names for the 2025 season, and we've still got more than 2/3 of the season to get through. All right, so let's talk spaghetti models. The first disturbance, future Ferdinand potentially moving up toward Bermuda. The second one is going to be moving due west, so no threats to Florida with the future of tropical weather for at least the next 15 days, taking us through, it looks like, at least the middle of September, which is good news.
That is certainly That is certainly some good news. And Brooks, we appreciate you joining us. We are going to have to go ahead and check in. Governor Ron DeSantis has just walked to the podium talking about immigration. And so we're going to go ahead and listen in. Brooks, we appreciate that update. And let's go now to the governor.
Tampa Bay, Orlando, that's definitely UF, no question. Jacksonville's a little mixed. Then once you get over in this part, really, really strong FSU. So this will be important. My kids are really excited about it, and I know a lot of people will enjoy doing that. So a lot of Floridians hopefully will be able to enjoy that. I want to make a quick comment on, we got news last night that we had a judge try to upset the apple cart with respect to our deportation and detainee processing center down in South Florida at Alligator Alcatraz. I just wanted to just say this was not something that was unexpected. This is a judge that was not going to give us a fair shake. This was preordained. Very much an activist judge that is trying to do policy from the bench. This is not going to deter us. We're going to continue working on the deportations, advancing that mission. We knew that this would be something that would likely happen, and we will respond accordingly. But this mission is important. You either have a country or you don't. You have people that are in this country that have already been ordered to be removed by the current system, and yet the previous administration didn't want to do anything about it. We're now in this position where we're leading the state efforts to help the Trump administration actually enforce the law and actually remove these illegal aliens from not just Florida but from our country. And that's something that we didn't have for 4 years, and now that's something that we're absolutely on board with making sure happens going forward. And so we're not going to be deterred. We're totally in the right on this. But I would also note, because of the success of Alligator Alcatraz, there's demand for more. So I did announce that we are going to be opening another facility right outside of Jacksonville in Baker County, and we've called that the Deportation Depot. And so that is something that will be able to hold another 2,000. There's an airport close by, and so you have the processing and then the removal, and you can get that working very, very quickly. There is no truth to the rumor that the Northeast Florida Deportation Depot is going to be used to detain unruly Georgia fans during the Florida-Georgia. That's not true. Don't let anyone tell you that. I hear that percolating. That is not true. It is for illegal aliens, and that's what we're going to do. So we're committed to the mission. We're not going to be deterred. We see this happening all over the country. We knew the minute this judge got the case, we knew exactly what she was going to do. This is not anything that was unexpected, but we'll make sure to get the job done in the end. Now, we are here, and I'd also point out, and maybe the Lieutenant Governor will say a little bit more about it, we had this illegal, some guy comes from India illegally. He ends up in California, of course, and gets a commercial driver's license. Now, first of all, he wasn't eligible for a commercial driver's license. Second of all, he doesn't speak or understand English. How are you going to operate some big rig when you don't understand the road signs? And so this guy got a commercial driver's license in Washington State and in California. Well, he's driving stuff in Florida and ends up trying to do a U-turn in the middle of the highway where they have the gaps for the highway patrol, official use only. And of course, you can't just do that on a dime. And there's a car coming, and the car runs into the big rig, and 3 people are killed because this guy doesn't know what the hell he's doing. So this was something that we were, and then so, people didn't necessarily know what happened at the time because the witnesses were dead. We got the video you saw, and it's just like this guy had it didn't even faze him that this had happened. First of all, if I got into a wreck, and didn't hit anybody, that would be something that I'd be concerned about. Like, okay, did I try to do a U-turn or whatever? And then if there's any type of collision, aren't most people's first reaction to just be like, oh man, I hope everyone's all right, and to try, this guy didn't care. And so we we worked with the federal government. They were able to get him. The U.S. Marshals were able to, once that evidence came in, were able to detain him. We sent the Lieutenant Governor out to personally extradite him back to Florida yesterday. And so he is in Florida, and he is facing justice in Florida for those 3 deaths. But that's not enough. Yes, we'll hold him accountable, and he's going to potentially spend decades in prison. But why would a company, and this is a California company, why would they put someone behind the wheel of one of those things when this guy can't even communicate and doesn't understand English? And so the Trump administration, I think, commendably, has already revoked the company's license to operate. And I think that's absolutely appropriate. We're going to be looking at what our remedies are, or maybe from the victims' families' remedies against a company that didn't seem to care about public safety. But then you also have the issue of California. You know, we've talked about these, we've seen this on display. Certainly since I've been governor, you see what has happened to Chicago. It's collapsed. What's happened to some of these places in California? You got homeless everywhere. You got obviously high taxes. You got people leaving. New York City, as bad as that got under de Blasio, I'd say, buckle your seatbelt if this new guy gets in. It's going to be a total disaster, and it's a predictable outcome of leftist policies being put in place. And we contrast that. We criticize it. We say, hey, people are leaving your state and everything. But it's not just kind of a philosophical debate. Yeah, Florida, people want to come here. We have low tax. We're doing all this stuff, low crime. The reality is those sanctuary policies of California are spilling over, and they are impacting people around the country. And this is a great example of that happening. So ultimately, we can do all the right things in Florida, and we'll continue to do it. But unless these sanctuary jurisdictions like California are reined in, you are going to continue to expose Americans in other states to the problems that flow from not caring about borders or not caring about the rule of law. So I just wonder, like in Congress, we've got a Republican Congress. All these guys that run when they ask you for their vote, I'm going to stop the border, I'm going to be tough on him. Not one runs openly on being weak on immigration, right? Because they know they would lose if they did that. And so, but yet, they haven't defunded sanctuary states like California. They haven't defunded sanctuary cities. They could overhaul this whole bureaucracy that makes it harder to remove illegal aliens from this country, and they haven't done it. So I think ultimately they're going to have to step up to the plate. What happened in Florida is the predictable consequence of these sanctuary policies. But we as Floridians, we can't reach out and change California's policies. Like, that's beyond our capacity as a state government. I have people, saying, oh, we wish California was doing, what you're doing. I was like, well, you got to elect different people. Ultimately, that's what you got to do, and they haven't been willing to do that. So I think it's going to continue. But there is ways to hold these rogue states accountable. And Congress has the power of the purse. Congress has the ability to regulate appropriately, and certainly can help streamline the immigration operations that are being undertaken both in Florida and with the Trump administration. So I thank Lieutenant Governor Collins for going out there, bringing him back. I know there's going to be really swift justice that's going to be administered, but this did not need to happen. This was totally avoidable, and it is the result of bad policies. Now, which brings us here today. We have recognized this issue as being something that's very important. I've been in Northwest Florida talking about different things that we've done. During the Biden border crisis, we sent people to the southern border. We were the first state to help Texas back in 2021 by sending folks to the southern border. We're also not a sanctuary state. When I became governor, they had not banned sanctuary cities in Florida. We got that done. We banned sanctuary cities. We don't allow driver's license for illegal aliens in Florida. We don't recognize out-of-state driver's license like California issued to illegal aliens. We don't allow local governments to issue ID cards to illegal aliens, and we don't even allow not NGOs to issue ID cards because they try to do this and try to get into all this. So we've been very strong on all of that stuff, as well as, when I became governor, they gave in-state tuition for illegals. We got that repealed. So we've done a lot of really good stuff. But the reality is when Biden was in, it's like swimming upstream. you can make sure you have good policies, but if our highway patrol would stop somebody who's here illegally, Biden's people wouldn't do anything about it. They would just release them and let them go on their business. So there was really no interior enforcement. So when President Trump won election in November of 2024, we saw that as an opportunity to finally address this issue once and for all. And we may not get another chance to do it if we don't get the job done now. So we, at the beginning of this year, I called a special session of the Florida legislature. We needed to make sure that in the state of Florida, yeah, we're not a sanctuary state, but we want to be part of the solution. We're not just going to sit on our hands. We, because of that legislative push that I made, we are the only state in the country that requires all state and local law enforcement agencies to participate with DHS on immigration enforcement and removal operations. And that's made a huge difference. We've now set the standard. Other states are now following suit, not just on the detention and processing, like got a lot of news with Alligator Alcatraz, but so many other things that we're doing. And the Florida Highway Patrol has really been a huge part of that effort. I believe they were the first agency in the entire country to execute a 287G agreement with the Department of Homeland Security. It's a bureaucratic term that basically the federal government is blessing these state and local law enforcement officers with the ability to participate in immigration enforcement. So under Biden, if our highway patrol pulled over someone who was here illegally driving drunk, whatever they did in the criminal system here they could do, but if they wanted to transport for a deportation, they weren't allowed to do immigration enforcement. So under Biden, if our highway patrol pulled over someone who was here illegally driving drunk, whatever they did in the criminal system here they could do, but if they wanted to transport for a deportation, they weren't allowed to do that. ICE wouldn't recognize it. Well, now with these agreements, they can do that. They can be part of the solution. So we're really glad that we were able to do that, and so we've really led the way on all of that stuff. We have done a lot of different operations over these many months now, and we've had a tremendous amount of success. And we're going to continue to be somebody that can be counted on by the Trump administration to bring about positive resolution to a border issue and immigration issue that has been constantly an issue for many, many decades. So today we are highlighting yet another major enforcement effort. This week, a first-of-its-kind immigration enforcement operation started in Florida's Panhandle, led by the Florida Highway Patrol in coordination with our federal partners, including DHS, agencies like Border Patrol, HSI, and ICE. The Panhandle Immigration Enforcement Operation is part of a comprehensive multi-agency enforcement detail targeting illegal aliens with criminal records, fugitives, and repeat immigration violators. We deployed 45 FHP troopers and 20 federal personnel across Escambia, Santa Rosa, Walton, Okaloosa, Holmes, Bay, Washington, and Jackson counties. Although the operation is still underway, nearly 200 illegal aliens have already been apprehended, with expectations that the final total will even be higher by the end of today's operations. Among those arrested, 37 illegals that had previously received final orders of removal and yet failed to appear in court. 8 illegals that had been deported and illegally re-entered the United States, one of which has been deported 4 times, just like a revolving door. These individuals will be federally charged. Troopers have encountered illegals who have fled, resisted arrest, and even physically assaulted officers, underscoring the heightened danger posed by criminal aliens. We're going to continue to face escalating attempt by criminal aliens to infiltrate our communities, posing a threat to the safety of not only our citizens, but also our many, many visitors. So this operation sends a clear and uncompromising message. We will not tolerate lawlessness in the state of Florida. We're going to continue to deploy every available resource to identify, apprehend, and remove those who seek to exploit our state and to endanger our people. While some states simply watch and wait, Florida leads. Our commitment to efficiency and accountability is why Florida continues to remain the national model. And just last week, Florida marked another milestone. In partnership with ICE and the U.S. Coast Guard, we launched the first deportation flight out of Tallahassee Airport, transporting nearly 20 illegal aliens in an operation that is going to continue each and every week. This operation reflects our expanding coordination with federal partners and reinforces our mission to secure the interior of this country and to protect our communities. Since March, FHP has vetted nearly 4,700 individuals through U.S. Department of Homeland Security databases. Of those, more than 3,600 have been arrested and processed for immigration violations, and more than 600 had prior criminal history. FHP has uncovered human smuggling operations operating deep within Florida's borders, and troopers have intercepted vehicles transporting illegal firearms, fentanyl, and even large sums of illicit cash. Recent arrests include individuals involved in drug trafficking, weapons violations, and gang-related activity. So this is real. This stuff has a major impact on the safety of our communities, and it also serves as a deterrent effect. You know, there was a story, even CNN was talking about it, months ago. There are these illegal alien theft gangs, like theft rings, and, they steal stuff in New York. And then they come down to Florida and spend the money at our attractions, and then they go back to New York and steal more. And so the reporter said, well, why don't you steal in Florida? They said, because they put you in jail in Florida when you steal. So that's a deterrent. And I think what we're doing here is a deterrent. People know, first of all, you shouldn't be coming to the United States illegally, but those that do, I think, are probably not going to want to choose the free state of Florida. So I'm proud of FHP. I want to thank both the colonel and the director and Larry Keefe for all the hard work they've done to be putting in to this. I want to thank our federal partners for really showing how it can be done when you have really strong state and federal partnership on an issue that's very much of major concern for so many Americans. I'm also want to thank the Lieutenant Governor. So some of you may not have seen, but it was last week. Yeah, it's only been a week. Last week, I appointed, he was then a senator, Jay Collins, to be our Lieutenant Governor. We had Jeanette Nunez was my ticket mate in 18 and in 22. She got the presidency at University.
As Governor DeSantis continues to talk and acknowledge some of the folks that he's with here today, we're going to step aside, take a quick break here on Fox Local, but we will be right back with more and get you back inside this news conference in just a couple of minutes. Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus, and breaking news as you see up on the top right of your screen there, Florida State Senator Joe Gruters, a Republican from Sarasota, has just been elected the chairman of the Republican National Committee. So the National GOP Party has elected a Florida lawmaker as their head. He is a longtime Trump ally. Meanwhile, you see Lieutenant Governor Jay Collins stepping up to the podium in Panama City. Let's go ahead and listen back in as this news conference continues live.
But hopefully you'll wear those on a consistent basis.
Stand as well, because I think there's a few hurt feelings reports from what I said out there. I don't identify as a politician. I identify as a God-fearing, gun-loving, freedom-defending, bacon-eating, one-legged retired Green Beret. So that's it. That's the top line. But, thank you. We all love bacon. So what an incredible opportunity to talk about something that matters. First off, our law enforcement guys, thank you for what you do. Thank you for your hard work, your dedication to the community, how you lead, what you do. We cannot thank you enough. What you've done often in other states has been maligned and punished. We will never do that here. We are going to stand and back our Leo. We're going to be there day in, day, night, and twice on Sunday. That's a promise and a guarantee. So with immigration, you look at what's happened around our country. We know that no state is not a border state, right? Everybody's open, no matter what. We have a governor in California, Gavin Newsom. Not really sure what he's doing. There's a lot of tweets, some memes, some digital photos of himself, things like that going on the internet while his border is open. People are pouring across it, fentanyl, illegal immigrants, terrorists coming across the border, putting American lives at risk. It's unacceptable. We know it's not right. In fact, it's inherently wrong. When you talk about illegal immigration, what does he want to talk about? He wants to talk about rights for illegal immigrants. He wants to take care of them. Well, we don't do that crap here in Florida, right? We don't. We stand by the American citizen. We stand by Floridians. We do what's right. We stand up for our people and their rights. That's why I am incredibly proud of what we've done here in the state of Florida to lead on illegal immigration. We passed a great bill this year. It took a little work, a little heavy lifting, but we got there. And you heard the governor talk about 287G and all that we've done, mandating that our law enforcement works with them, with the federal government. And you see the results. We have Alligator Alcatraz. You have the deportation depot standing up. But what you really see is a governor dedicated to getting it right, doing the hard wrong, being willing to stand alone no matter what other people do. Can you imagine if other states did the same thing, how much better our economy would be, how much safer our communities would be if other governors took his lead? Wouldn't that be incredible? But instead, you have people like Gavin Newsom want to play games, other states on the West Coast, maybe some on up on the East Coast. They need to stop and think about what their people want. And America's been clear. And let us just take a moment to understand this is not a Republican issue. It's not a Democratic issue. It's not an independent issue. It is an American issue. The American people have said we need the illegal immigration problem taken care of. And here in Florida, we heard what they said. Floridians, we heard what you said. We're acting, we're leading. That is the Florida way. It's what we've done, and we can never go back the other direction because this is what's right. It serves our people. Thankful to be a part of it. Grateful to serve as your Lieutenant Governor and Governor. Thank you for the opportunity. God bless everybody.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you today, and I want to thank Governor DeSantis and also Lieutenant Governor Jay Collins for putting Florida first, but also putting America first. Thank you. Also, my boss, Executive Director Dave Kerner, our state and local law enforcement partners, and also our federal law enforcement partners. Thank you. The role of a trooper has never been simple and continually evolving, just as our state's evolving. It's never been more challenging than right now. Today, members of the Florida Highway Patrol are stepping up to protect Florida on all fronts. The patrol is playing a direct role in defending our communities against multifaceted threats linked to the impacts of our illegal border crossings. And those threats are many. Our troopers recognize this is not just a Florida issue. The impacts of illegal immigration threaten America, and we consider ourselves members of America's law enforcement here in Florida, just as we consider our governor America's governor. Criminals do not recognize jurisdictional boundaries, and our responses demand cooperation well beyond county lines and local jurisdictions. In recent deployments, troopers have worked side by side with our federal agents, working together as resource multipliers. This cooperation, our efforts are not photo ops. These are boots on the ground operations where commitment, intelligence, and professional cooperation protect and even save lives. I want to personally recognize the professionalism of our partners with Department of Homeland Security, ICE, ERO, our Customs and Border Protection, and our United States Marshals. They've stood with us on the front lines, and we stand with them as one of us. I'd be remiss if I didn't give you a trooper's perspective of immigration enforcement. It looks like late night surveillance in unfamiliar terrain, stopping cars that aren't just breaking laws and endangering other motorists, but also transporting people being trafficked, smuggling illicit drugs, or occupants with criminal histories. Unlicensed drivers that selfishly choose to endanger innocent Americans instead of just obeying the law. It looks like making split-second decisions on high-risk environments, often without full information, but always with full accountability. Troopers are not just responding to new immigration enforcement assignments. They're carrying out layered responsibilities that now include supporting federal warrants, protective backup for multi-agency teams, and protecting citizens from the violence connected with transnational criminal organizations. They're also being targeted, our law enforcement is. Their personal lives and their family lives are being doxxed, exposed, and even threatened. Their work is being mischaracterized and their integrity questioned by people far removed from the realities of life, of the world we live. But here's also the reality. Your troopers, our troopers, they're not political actors. They're professionals who enforce the law in this state and the nation with clarity and purpose. There's nothing glamorous about this work. There's no shortcuts. It's long hours, difficult conditions, and constant pressures to make the right call. For us, failure is not an option. This is the character.
Colonel Gary Howells of the Florida Highway Patrol speaking right now as this news conference continues in Panama City, talking about immigration enforcement. We need to take another break here on Fox 35 News Plus, but we'll be right back, so keep it here on Fox Local. Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. Garrett Weimer here, and thanks for joining us on this Friday morning. This is Dave Kerner, the Executive Director of the Florida Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles, which oversees FHP and some of these other agencies. Let's go ahead and listen back in as this news conference continues live in Panama City about immigration enforcement. the day after a federal judge ruled on alligator Alcatraz, basically forcing a halt, saying no new detainees can be brought into that detention facility as this legal battle continues. They can continue operating for now, but also have to remove many of the infrastructure of that facility within 60 days. This is part of that environmental lawsuit against alligator Alcatraz. Governor DeSantis touching on that a little bit ago. I'm sure he will also be asked some questions about that. Let's go ahead and listen back in as Dave Kerner speaks live now at the Florida Highway Patrol Troop A headquarters in Panama City.
Everyone's getting deputized, but what are we doing with it? And what Florida is doing is leading the nation. We're here to build a model that can be exported to other states. The truth is, with the millions and millions of illegal immigrants in this country, if we're going to have a meaningful opportunity to fix what has occurred over the last 4 years in the prior administration, it's going to take more than signing agreements. It's going to take capturing people, apprehending them, and deporting them. And the tip of that spear is the Florida Highway Patrol. But we want this model to be exportable. If it's just Florida, it's going to help Florida, but it's not going to solve the problem nationwide. So in the past, since March, we've arrested over 3,600 illegal immigrants, the Florida Highway Patrol alone. We are now entering a different chapter of interior enforcement. And we stood up, the governor announced a couple weeks ago that we have stood up our own internal full-time immigration unit within the agency. You know, I had a chance to testify in that case against alligator Alcatraz, and I was trying my best, promise, Governor, trying my best to explain to the judge what is actually happening. Why are there so many apprehensions? And if you look at the footprint of Border Patrol and ICE in Florida, there's about 600 agents combined. There's 2,000 agents now just in the Florida Highway Patrol, and then you have our 67 sheriffs that are engaged. And so it's going to be a massive, massive lift. And so we've stood up our own immigration unit, and we've had the opportunity over these last 3 days to test that model. And really, we say it's 3 days, but it was really about 18 hours of operations. And we apprehended 100 and almost 90 illegal immigrants in that time period in just a couple of counties. If you were to think about putting all those people in this room just for scale, I don't know that you could fit all of those illegal immigrants into this room. As the governor stated, a lot of them had criminal histories. Many of them tried to escape. We engaged in pursuits and foot pursuits, but it's important work. And so moving forward, we don't have a fancy title or operation title, right? We had Operation Tidal Wave. We don't have those anymore because the reality, Governor, is at your direction. This is the way that it's going to be, right? So our immigration units are going to be in every county, full-time. We're going to be in every community. We're going to touch every corner of this state, and we're going to do our job, and we're going to remove illegal immigrants. And we're going to export that model, our hope is. We're going to design that model to be exported so that other states that have supportive legislators and supportive governors will take on this mission and task. And so I could not be prouder of these state troopers. What I saw out there over the last 3 days was amazing professionalism, amazing enforcement efforts. I just got a call right before we started this press conference. Our troopers are out there in Bay County right now. They called and said, we got 15 more, and that was within the span of an hour. And so this is an effort to try to recalibrate what has gone on in this country with illegal immigration and make our community safer. And just one last point, if I may. We could not have a better partnership with ICE, with Border Patrol, with the Department of Homeland Security, but also our local law enforcement leaders and officers. I know Sheriff Ford is here today. Every sheriff in this county has established what is known as a basic order and agreement. And what that allows us to do is drop off illegal aliens at our local jail, whatever county we're in. Before, we would have to drive hours and hours to a federal facility. That effort alone has allowed us to apprehend hundreds upon hundreds more illegal immigrants in just a couple of days. And so we're thankful to our sheriffs, we're thankful to our local police departments. I'm excited for what is to come, but I also want to be candid. To those of you watching, whether it's in this county or in South Florida or Tampa. The Florida Highway Patrol has a mission that the governor has tasked us with, and we will execute on it. And our communities should anticipate that we will continue to remove illegal aliens from the state of Florida. We will do it with diligence, we will do it with pride, and we will do it with professionalism, but it will be done. And Governor, I promise you that, and I thank you for your leadership, sir.
Okay. Keith?
Well, thank you so much for allowing me to be here today. Since day one in office, President Trump closed the border to the illegal aliens invading our country, finally having the most secure border in our country's history, and all we needed was a new president, President Trump. And under the leadership of Secretary Noem at the Department of Homeland Security, thousands of local and state law enforcement officers have been empowered to help deliver on the promise President Trump made to the American people through ICE's 287G program, taking the worst of the worst off our streets, protecting the American people. And what you see here today is a testament of the partnership we have with the Florida Highway Patrol and how effective state and local partners can be in combating the illegal immigration challenge America faces. The amazing men and women behind me and out there on the streets with the Florida Highway Patrol have added the 287G authority to their arsenal of tools to help keep our roads and highways safe for all Americans to travel. Thank you.
All right. Larry?
Thank you, Governor. Most of the things that needed to be said and should have been said already today. And just so you know who I am, I'm Larry Keefe. I'm the Executive Director of the State Board of Immigration Enforcement. My job is basically to facilitate all the cooperation that is necessary for state and local law enforcement, emergency management, National Guard, a host of state agencies to help and assist our federal partners. They are the primary lead in this mission. President Trump set the standard for this mission, declared a national emergency right when he was inaugurated to secure the border and to conduct the largest mass deportation effort in history. Governor DeSantis had the vision and foresight to know that that could not be done countrywide without state and locals being very heavily involved and being peer partners with the federal government. And my job is to make certain it all comes together and report to the governor and the lieutenant governor on what's happening. And right now, my assessment of everything, everybody's seen Alligator Alcatraz, we've got Deportation Depot, but it all comes down to finding, sorting, processing, detaining, and deporting in a mass scale, humanely, safely, lawfully, and bringing all of these moving parts together. But today I'm really glad I'm here in the headquarters of the Florida Highway Patrol west of Apalachicola after this week-long operation to give you my sense of what the real heart issue now is. The governor's going to find a way to sort out detention. You know, when federal judges want to shut us down or play whack-a-mole between Kevin Guthrie at Emergency Management, General Haas at National Guard, we're going to find a way to do it. We're not going to be, there's resolve and there is completely undaunted leadership. And now that we've got this lieutenant governor, it's just going to get better. And I'm as excited as you are, Director Kerner and all that. But after spending a good amount of time, and not just this week beforehand, with you all, with the line, with the people that are actually making it happen and having a lot of real discussions in the rain, in the lightning, while you're still breathing hard after chasing somebody through a parking lot or into the woods, while you're trying to humanely, properly, and safely arrest someone, have them want to fight you, and have a family at home, and to have the risk of you hurt your back, you just broke your finger, and that's going to annoy you and annoy you and annoy you and fill your day, and you got to go home to your family. That very real discussion, and the number one thing that you all want to know, and I just admire and respect you for it, is do you all have our backs? Do you have our backs? Are you with us? Because this is a very ambiguous, it's a new area. Largely it was public safety, work on the highways, traffic-related stuff. And with the way our world is completely transformed to where we are now, with you are the vanguard at the forefront. With our sheriffs, we got Sheriff Bryan here today and Sheriff Ford, at the real cutting edge of this, and the bellwether lead laboratory state on all this stuff happening nationally, where the book is being written, where the Florida blueprint is being written for the other states to follow. It's happening right here, and at the cutting edge of it is you, I remember you from yesterday, and you having to make that decision, am I going to bring it today? Yeah, 287G and the law says in Florida, you got to bring your best efforts if you're law enforcement to this fight. But when you're sitting there and it's real and you're out on the highway alone and you're tired and you're wondering, what if I do something wrong? It's kind of gray. It's ambiguous, very Green Beret environment.
Larry Keefe continuing to speak at this news conference in Panama City. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back before the governor begins taking some questions. So we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back. Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. Governor Ron DeSantis back up at the podium was just talking about pay increases for FHP, also talking about the Gulf Red Snapper season. We expect him to take some questions here in a couple of minutes as well. So let's go ahead and listen back in as he continues to speak live from Panama City.
If we were able to get that done, and that's something that we've been working on really since President Trump took office. We're excited with the results. Look, I see these guys, they'll go on TV and then they'll talk about border immigration, but yet like the congressmen don't do anything. I mean, some of these people, these politicians, what we're talking about here is an operation that is producing tangible results, like really serious results that are going to result in more safety and security and prosperity for the folks in this community and beyond. So I'm glad that we're an administration committed to action, committed to results, and getting the job done. And this is just another example of that. We're here in Panama. So, my kids, so I've got a third grader, a second grader, and a kindergartner. And you guys have this great donut place, Dandy Donuts. And I got that for them years ago. And they didn't really go to sleep that day because there's a lot of very good, amazing donut. I mean, like you walk up, there's like all the, it's just incredible. And so that was kind of the flip side. They liked it, the flip side. But today's Friday. It's not a school night, so I am bringing them back. This is round 2 for the DeSantis kids of Dandy Donuts. So we'll let you see. Hopefully they can get to bed at a decent hour. Okay. Do we have any questions? All right. God bless everybody. Thank you.
All right. No questions there from reporters at Governor DeSantis' Immigration Enforcement News Conference that has wrapped up. Let me open my mic there. That was Governor Ron DeSantis wrapping up his news conference in Panama City. No questions from reporters, but we did hear a number of topics from the governor when it comes to immigration enforcement. He talked about a new immigration effort in the Panhandle, talking about the first deportation flight last week out of Tallahassee. Also mentioned earlier on about the state's position when it comes to the Alligator-Alcatraz decision from the federal judge. We do know the state is pushing back and appealing that decision, something we heard the governor say that it was certainly not unexpected as well. Something that they, I will say that in the past, the governor has said they expected that this, in one of these lawsuits at the kind of district level, they would end up probably losing that case, but he expects them to prevail overall. So that is kind of the larger strategy there. We're going to take another break here on Fox 35 News Plus. Still got a lot to get to here. So keep it right here on Fox Local, and we will have much more in just a couple of minutes.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Weimer, and thanks for joining us on this Friday morning, live on Fox Local and on YouTube. We're learning more about the man shot by police who died after, and police say he charged at them while carrying scissors. And this was actually, this happened as police were investigating a separate disturbance call. And the police leaders are calling this an unprovoked attack on officers that led to this officer-involved shooting. I want to play for you as we heard from the Orlando Police Deputy Chief just earlier this morning, giving the details on what we know about this situation.
Ready? Good morning, everyone. I'm Deputy Chief Chad Ocuzio. I'm here to update you on an officer-involved shooting we had this morning. Around 3:40 a.m., our officers responded to a disturbance between roommates near West Amelia Street and Chatham Ave. While talking with the roommates involved in the dispute, a white male in his 40s who appeared to be sleeping in Luminary Green Park charged at our officers with an edged weapon. Our officers gave commands for the suspect to drop the weapon. However, the suspect refused to obey their commands and continued to come and advance towards our officers. Our officers discharged their weapons and shot the suspect. The suspect did die and was pronounced on scene. The officers involved in the shooting were not injured and are on paid administrative leave. As with all officer-involved shootings, FDLE will conduct an independent review of the incident, followed by State Attorney's Office. This is still an active investigation, and at this time I'll take any questions that you have.
So the man who was shot was not involved in that disturbance at all?
No, so it appears he was just sleeping in Luminary Green as our officers were discussing the incident with the roommate there. He came charging at those officers unprovoked by any of our officers, and that's what we know at this time.
Do you believe the man is homeless?
We don't know. It appears he was just sleeping there. We don't know if he's a homeless person or not. He was just sleeping when our officers had arrived.
And they had no interaction with him before that?
No prior interaction at all.
What was the weapon and what was he saying?
So it turned out it was a pair of scissors that he was carrying, and as he charged the officers, he did make a slashing motion towards our officers, but it did turn out to be a pair of scissors.
Has he been identified?
We do have him identified, but we're not releasing that at this time.
Any of the officers, they weren't injured in any of this? Did he make contact with them at all?
No, didn't make contact. As I said, he came charging towards the officers, but no, he did not make any contact with our officers.
Now, with that being right in the center of the UCF campus downtown, is there any special advisory for students?
No, I mean, this appeared to be a completely unrelated incident, so there's no issues, no safety issues for anybody down there.
Has there been any issues in that new park right there in the middle of the campus?
No, we haven't seen anything like that at this time.
Earlier this week, we were told that there was an issue in the Creative Village area as well, where there was a downed person, word on the street there was a body discovered. But there was no clarification about what had happened there. Can you give us more information?
I don't have any details on that.
There's a very large crime scene there right now. Why is that necessary?
As in any investigation, our officers are out there conducting their investigation, FDLE is out there conducting their investigation, and we're making sure that everything is collected as far as evidence-wise, so that's why you see a large presence there.
Initially, you had advised folks to avoid the area. How long do you think that'll continue through?
Was it just one officer that opened fire? Or
Two officers.
Does UCF police handle stuff inside the building and you guys handle stuff on the sidewalk, or is it kind of whoever gets the call?
No, they handle stuff. We have certain parameters. They handle the stuff that happens on their campus. We handle stuff outside of that.
Isn't that considered their campus though, right there?
It's not their campus. It's where we take care of the streets, and that's where this was, the apartments and stuff like that. Good. Anything else? Okay. Thank you.
So that's what we know about that situation that happened. You heard the man accused of charging at them with scissors while they were responding to another call. That man has been shot and killed. He has not yet been identified. I do want to let you know we are standing by waiting for remarks from President Trump, who's expected to make some sort of announcement from the Oval Office here shortly. We will bring that to you live when it begins. But I also want to play for you now a news conference in Polk County, as we heard from Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd just a little bit ago, wrapping up just before Governor DeSantis spoke, talking about a couple dozen, in fact, more than a couple dozen, 32 suspects arrested in what they're calling Operation Capital City Crackdown. This is a year-long investigation of drug trafficking in Polk County, and the sheriff says they actually were able to take down the kingpin of Bartow in this investigation that involved multiple agencies. Here is Sheriff Grady Judd talking about that operation just a little bit ago.
I got their drip. I got their body. We got their guns. We got their dope. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Last week we did a press conference as a result of a grand jury indictment for first-degree murder because this team, these guys at the top, sold the drugs that killed a 65-year-old lady. I told you last week that we would be back and talk now about this wire intercept investigation that we all worked on together. And let me highlight the people that worked with us so you have an idea of the complexity and the need for cooperation in order to successfully do these investigations. We're joined today by Brannon Shealy, who's going to be speaking from FDLE. They're our partners and we work together every day. Central Florida HIDA is with us, Executive Director A.J. Colazzo. Homeland Security Investigations not attending, but they participated. U.S. Customs and Border Patrol, they participated. They're not here today. United States Postal Inspection Services. They're not here, but they participated. Auburndale Police Department, Lieutenant Austin Leal. The State Attorney's Office, obviously Nicora Orr, who is one of our heroes. She is the one in the engine behind this T3 and the search warrants, because we have to have our prosecutors on board and reviewing and making sure we dot all the I's and we cross all the T's. And Nicora, it was remarkable. Brian Haas, our state attorney, is the very best. And because we all work so well together, you'll see the outcomes today. The medical examiner's office was very important in this investigation, because in order to bring the first-degree murder charge that occurred as a result of this T3, we had to have their expertise in their work. And where would we be without the FBI? The Lakeland RA attending today is Special Agent Mike Glass and Brian Wilson. And very important to this entire process is our Chief of Police in the Bartow Police Department, Chief Walker, because he'll give you more details. But this entire capital city crackdown occurred in Bartow. And Capital City, by the way, that is the county seat of Bartow. That's how we got Capital City. They said I had to explain that. I thought it was evident, at least it was to me. But the folks that I'm going to introduce you to and speak specifically about have been dealing drugs in Bartow for years. You're going to hear me talk about they have been to prison before. And you're